You don't even have to recover the plane. Just find its location and get 30 grand. It's somewhere in this area, just southwest of Mount Baldy.
Yes, that's right. You heard it right. $30,000. I heard that and I loaded the car and I went. So this video is a story about, and that's actually why I'm wearing this hat, because this hat is from right before that adventure and I had it on in my YouTube videos back then. But this story is about how I went to Arizona to look for an airplane that had crashed. And the reason I'm making this video is because of two different Facebook posts. The first Facebook post was in August of 2018. And that was a post where I saw that, hey, I crashed my airplane is missing in the White Mountains in Arizona. I need to find it. I'll pay $30,000 cash, no questions asked to anybody who finds it. The second Facebook post was made last month, which would be August of 2024. And basically, I had said in there, does anybody know of any missing airplanes that maybe they took off from an airport, were headed to another airport, and they were missing and not found? Because I'm very intrigued by them and I would like to find them. And on there I said, don't mention the Arizona TBM because I already went and what I had said in there was I got arrested. I really didn't think it would create any type of, I didn't think anybody would really say anything about that. I thought they would start listing off airplanes that were lost, but they weren't. So now this video is here. So my name is John. This is my channel. This is my Challenger 2. Normally I do content flying the Challenger 2, but today I'm making the video about my experience with the tribe and what happened. You saw in the thumbnail, it says, did I get arrested? And I'm just gonna get into the story and I'm gonna let you guys decide whether, you know, what you think. Whether you think, I'm making sure my mic was on, whether you think that I was arrested or not. If you can, give this video a like. I know you haven't watched it yet. Maybe you're new to the channel, maybe you're not, but give it a like, maybe throw a comment in there. And feel free to explain to me what you think I did right or wrong, or if you would go on the adventure. But I'm gonna get my camera set up and we're gonna film right here and I'm gonna tell you guys what happened. Here we go.
World War II plane also crashing in northeastern Arizona and the passengers miraculously surviving.
Yeah, this one happened last year, but the rare plane never found.
All right, well, I've got these mics now, so I can kind of do videos where I'm not like right up on the camera. But as you can see, I'm the world's okayest pilot. I know you're thinking this video sounds kind of crazy, but realistically, this did happen. I am gonna have some receipts in this video. I did make YouTube videos when I did this adventure, and the YouTube videos had to get taken down, and that's why I'm doing this, because when I did that post and I said, that I had gotten arrested, immediately people were like, well, you're lying and this didn't happen and blah, blah, blah. But it did happen and I was actually on the news because it happened.
I don't know how no one's found it because there are probably tens, if not hundreds of searchers.
All are seeing dollar signs.
I put up a $30,000 reward.
Some,
I hope we don't get in trouble,
even documenting dangerous attempts on Apache land.
I didn't do enough research.
They wanted me to take the reward down. And understandably, it's beautiful land, it's their reservation.
For Ron, the plane's historical and personal significance is worth the risk.
This is a relic that should be in a museum.
And for someone lucky enough to spot it, it'll be worth a good chunk of change.
Once they say, yep, this is the plane, then I'm gonna pay that entity or that person $30,000 cash, no questions asked.
I wanna say before we get started, the news clips that you see in this video are from one of the companies that took my YouTube videos without asking me permission, and they played it on their screen. They gave me credit because my channel used to be called Buff Hiker Slim. As you could tell in the videos, I wasn't, I'm a big guy, but I was like 290 pounds in those videos, but I was motivated by finding that airplane for historic sake and for the $30,000. I wanna say, backtrack a little bit, in this video, I am using that video under the Fair Right Act, and because they use mine. So if you're from that company, ABC or whatever company it is, just know that you guys took mine without permission. So I'm just gonna use some clips from yours. If that's an issue, I'm sorry. Also, what you're gonna see in this is some clips of my YouTube videos. Why are my YouTube videos not up anymore? Because I had to take them down. But luckily I made them private. I didn't delete all of them. I actually started deleting them and then something was like, you know what, just make them private because this is kind of crazy and maybe one day you'll be able to do it again. So The moral of the story is in August of 2018, I saw a Facebook post where a gentleman had said, I had to jump out of my airplane. Me and my buddy had to jump out of my aircraft. That aircraft is a 1940s TBM Avenger. It's like a torpedo bomber. Very large, very big, you know, 2 people are in it. And I'll put it up on the screen here. And basically he said, hey, we lost our engine at low altitude. We had to jump out. Oh, back to the disclaimer, actually. Sorry, I'm backtracking, guys. Nobody has had me go. I did all this on my own. Nobody is responsible for any of my actions. They are all mine. And this video is not to disparage the tribe or anybody involved in this, because everybody was fairly good to me for the most part. And I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. I'm not looking to have anybody come after me legally about the video or you know, try to say that I'm disparaging anybody. The gentleman who owns the airplane, his name is Ron. I won't get into the details of his information. I've chatted with him before I went. You know, I was somewhat aware of the circumstances. So everything that I did was under my own free will and my decisions. Nobody had me do anything, and nobody encouraged me or said, you need to do this. Also, I didn't do anything intentionally to make anybody mad or to get myself in trouble. So with that being said, if you're watching this, I just got done going to 10,000 feet, or you have to go watch the video. It's one of the other videos, either before or after this, so go watch it. So in 2018, it was August. It was summertime. It was getting warm, but you know, it was about to get cool. I see a Facebook post, and that Facebook post says, my name is Ron, and it shows us pictures of this airplane and the parachutes. And basically the story goes that Ron and Ken, his friend, were flying from Phoenix to Chicago, and in his TBM Avenger, the big World War II, 1940s World War II torpedo bomber airplane, and they experienced an engine malfunction.
Ron and his best friend Ken,
We're flying it back to Chicago.
after fueling up in Phoenix and heading towards Albuquerque,
Smoke, fire, the engine basically almost came off the airplane.
If you're not going to jump now, you're not going to make it.
We had to bail out. So I'm sitting here in a tree.
Ken and Ron banged up,
Smashed the back of my head on the ground.
but alive.
And there's my parachute. I'm down. I don't know where Ron is.
We were separated overnight. We found each other the next day.
Luckily, they had the old school parachutes, and at a low altitude, they had to make the decision to either ride it in or to jump. In the White Mountains, guys, it's the elevations above 10,000 everywhere you go. And sorry, there's cows making noise. The elevations above 10,000 everywhere you go, and there is nothing but trees. There is a tree, there is a tree, there is a tree. I'll show you in the clip.
So I am at the 50-yard line of the embankment, I guess you could say. So about a football field up the hill is the road, okay? And down there, you can actually, if you look close enough, you can actually see the water running down there.
Just stacked on top of each other. So they're flying, and they have to decide. They start talking to each other because they're losing engine power. Do we ride it in or do we jump? And they made the super ballsy decision to jump. So they jumped, and they both survived. The parachutes were full chutes. They opened. But unfortunately, they both kind of got stuck in trees because these trees are so thick. This is just how it happens, you know? And so once they were able to get themselves down, it was actually the next morning that they relocated each other because they were pretty close to each other, but it was evening time. So this, from what I remember, so they ended up finding each other. The gentleman who owns the plane, something happened where he was going through an insurance thing or something, and he needed to prove the plane's alive or, you know, existed. And I'm not saying he would have done that, but the story gets kind of crazy. So, so he takes this, where he has this Facebook post where he's like, I'll give anybody $30,000. I just need to find the location. He's not saying he'll give you 30 grand to go pick it up and move it. All he wants is GPS coordinates and some pictures of it. Boom, he gives it to the government, and the government can go in on federal tribal land, and they can take over and say, hey, we're getting that vintage aircraft. There's not many of these things left. Matter of fact, there's a clip of one that just landed in the ocean on the beach. I believe there was like 6 or 7 of them flying. So that particular one will be able to be rebuilt. It might already be flying now, but to lose an airplane like this is really important to like the commemorative to all these companies that do vintage aircraft. So, and he had spent a lot of money on it. What that number is, I don't know. I don't want to talk for him, but I know he had spent a lot of money on this new engine and everything. So I decide when I see this post that I'm going to head to Arizona under my own will and search for this because $30,000 sounds pretty awesome. I was able to get a hold of Ron. We had a few chats about it, but there was nothing specific. One thing he mentioned was that, well, people had told him they were going, but nobody had really proven it yet. So I had decided at that point I was going to make videos and send them to him. I hadn't really done YouTube very much. I had made a couple videos doing like hikes as a fat guy, but I hadn't actually done YouTube, and I really didn't know how the actual algorithm and how the things worked. So when you set it to private or public is what I'm basically getting at. And so I decided I was gonna make videos and send them to him. So at first I tried texting them to him when I got back to town each day. And unfortunately that didn't work because the files were too large. And so he said, why don't you just make this video and then send it to me or whatever. So I made these YouTube videos, the first couple, and then I kind of got into the mode of, okay, well, I can do these videos and kind of make them more like a video, not just, hey, Ron, this is what I'm doing today, this is where I'm at, but you know, make them to where people would be intrigued and interested in what was going on. So I made these videos each night at the hotel room. The first couple nights I actually slept out there because I had a hot lead and I thought I knew where this thing was. Once I realized it wasn't there, that's when the videos started. And I do have some video footage from the first one, but I had deleted a couple of the earlier ones. So I stayed the night, I camped out there the first couple of nights, but it was weird because I have kids at home back in Texas and I was in the middle of the woods, literally 16 miles down a dirt road that, you know, is very, very far. And I'm in a Chevy Volt. How I got it back there, I don't even know. I literally saw nobody. I heard some gunshots a few times and that was about it. The Apache tribe owns a million acres over there. So as you can imagine, you're just a needle in a haystack, literally, over there. So I started making these videos and I upload them to YouTube so that I can then forward the link to, I watched a YouTube channel or video on how to do that, and then I did it, then I forwarded him the video. Well, little did I know the first couple of videos would go kind of crazy. I didn't even know I thought they were only private because I didn't realize how the settings worked. And so after I went back out into the woods and came back out, all of a sudden I had a phone full of notifications. And at the time I was like, this probably isn't a good idea because if there are other people searching, I don't want them to watch my videos and narrow down where they're gonna go. They could say, because I was talking in my video like, hey, this road that follows the ridge, I just covered all that is not there. And my thought process is, at this point, even though I've not seen another soul, and I really don't think anybody else went out there, I wanted the money and it was kind of a competition at this point. So I'm doing these videos and I'm sending them to the gentleman who owns the airplane. And I'm realizing that when I'm making these videos, I'm probably giving too much away. So I kind of start throwing curveballs in. For example, flipping the footage around and things like that. I was like, well, I don't want anybody to catch on to where I'm at or what I'm doing, or not what I'm doing, but where I'm at and how much progress I've made and the places I've narrowed down. So I started to get a little bit more mysterious on that. I bought a permit at the hotel that is just outside of the entrance. It's a reservation hotel. They sell reservation permits. The lady asked, what are you doing? I said, hiking and camping. Are there any limitations? No limitations. I then followed up and said, have you heard about that airplane? Yes, I've heard about that airplane. Oh, okay. Has anybody said anything about it? She said, no, not really. She's like, but it's been quite a while since this happened. And, you know, we have hunters that are out there and stuff. So obviously that got my wheel spinning. She never once said, you can't go out there. You can't go look for that plane because you're not native. Or, hey, this permit doesn't cover that. It was just, I even brought it up to her like no big deal. So that's all important in the story. So I'm 14 days, well, I was there for 2 weeks. I'm on day like 13 or 14. And I'm finally about to just get done doing this whole bowl area and this hill and everywhere that this airplane could have possibly have gone if it went straight. When epiphanies start to happen to me, I'm like, well, wait a minute. So they have this idea where the plane went, but did that factor in the fact that two guys with all their stuff jumped out of the plane? Is it possible this plane climbed and actually went further? Is it possible the plane just nosedived and crashed right where they were? And this is the stuff that was going on in my head around the 13th or 14th day. No signs of it. You thought I would have seen something, some broken trees or anything. There's no signs. Another thing to point out is when you are there, you can't see 10 feet in front of you. I could have my vehicle 15 feet out there, and unless you walk right up to it, I know it sounds like a lie, but it is so dense and so crazy out there that really I thought I was going to be depending to smell avgas, because obviously this thing they just filled up. That was one of my things too. They had just filled up with gas, and so I knew they had 100 low lead, like hundreds of gallons probably, and I was like, I'm going to smell that. Or that caught fire. I'm going to see a fire, and I'm going to work my way in. Yeah, so come day 13 or 14, I'm getting done with, literally the ridge is done. Day 15, actually I should backtrack a little bit. I hired a guide. My car got to where I couldn't get back there, and a gentleman who lived in the area that I met at a gas station, he had this little Toyota truck, and I was talking to him about what I was doing, and he started to warn me, hey, it's probably not a good idea. You need to be careful out there. I said, yeah. I said, I can't even get my car back there. And he's like, hey, if you want to just go camping or whatever, I'll drive you back there each day, and then I'll pick you up because I'm familiar with the area. You just got to pay me. I won't disclose any of the information. He never once said, hey, you should go look for that plane. This guy is an innocent bystander in the whole situation. But I took advantage of the fact that I couldn't get my Volt back in certain places, and he was giving me rides. So I took him up on that and made an agreement with him, and he started taking me back there each day. But what he would do would be just bring food, and he would just stay out in the one area while I was searching. And he put in, because it was like a job for him at that point. And I was so hell-bent on finding this airplane that it was the only thing I could think of. I was obsessing about this airplane. So come day 14, I'm kind of going forward in the story so that I don't lose your guys' attention here. If you haven't yet, like the video, please. Subscribe if you haven't. So come day 14, now I've had my videos all mixed up to where people can't see what I'm doing or where I'm at. And I crest the hill, and I look down to where I was supposed to meet my guide, and cop cars, like off-road cop cars. I think there was 3, and his truck, and I saw law enforcement officials. Well, one thing that got me in trouble on the Facebook post is on there I made a comment, and I said, well, because I had like law enforcement credentials in the state of Arizona, I think that helped me. Now I know what you're saying. You're like, oh, cops, blah, blah, blah. They think they can get away with everything. I worked in a jail in Arizona. And when you're in your academy or whatever, they have you take like pictures, and not everybody, but some of us went in there and we put our picture in there when we were learning how to use the system. So like if a prisoner comes in or an inmate comes in, you know how to put their information in the system. So they would have us do our own. So I did my own and had my own picture of me that the sheriff's department had on file, which was me in uniform, an upper shot. And obviously it's like a police officer uniform because I work for the sheriff's department. And so that's just a little bit of information for what's going on next in my story. And like I had said, people on Facebook tore into me, oh, law enforcement, blah, blah, blah. No, I wasn't saying, oh, because I was a cop and this and that. I was saying that it helped me, and let me tell you why. I finally, after like 10 minutes of watching him, waiting for them to leave from a distance, I finally decided to walk up to him. I walk up to him. They know fully that I have a gun on me because in my videos, I had my gun right here because I'm out in the middle of the woods. Who wouldn't? They take my gun, they take my bag, they kind of give me the once over. I said, hey guys, yeah, I'm not doing anything wrong, everything's fine. And I actually had some trash because like while I was out there, I found like some RC Cola cans and like a chainsaw chain and things like that. So I had picked some things up. I had that with me, but when I walk up to the vehicle, I noticed that they've already rummaged through this poor guy's truck. Turns out him and them had a history. Has nothing to do with me, that part, but they were like taking anything out of his truck they could. The cop explains to me, we've been sent your YouTube videos and you're not supposed to be out here looking for this plane. And I told him, I said, no, I had heard it probably wasn't a good idea, but never once did I hear that you were told do not enter that area. And I had a permit, so I'm like, hey, in my bag I have a permit. So they take my gun and everything from me and they detain me. They put me in the back of a police car. So I was sitting in the back of the police car and the cop comes up and gets in there and he has my driver's license. I can see the screen. He puts my name in the system, and it just so happens they use the same system that the sheriff's department I worked for used. So when that happened, my picture popped up in uniform. And so then I noticed that he kind of was like, okay, he gets out and talks to the other cops. And so finally he comes and opens my door, and that starts this whole 30-minute to an hour long back and forth on how we're going to resolve this. Now, I want to say, did he see my law enforcement thing? Which I wasn't working there anymore. I had just left that job like 6 months before this. But I did have a CCW in the state of Arizona, which they did tell me they did recognize. Yeah, but I don't think that had a lot to do with it, but I think it had some to do with it, okay? They pull me out of the vehicle, and at this point in time, I'm really nervous, and we're just talking, trying to figure out, I got to figure out how to get out of this. And in a nutshell, they're like, we're taking your gun and your ammo and whatever, and you can come and collect that from us, but you have to pay a fine in cash. And I won't get into the fines. I will tell you it's a lot of cash. And also, they're like, your guide is getting the same fines. And of course, the guide's looking at me like, dude, I don't have the money for that. So finally, we're like, okay, we can get out of here. The guide got a bunch of stuff from his truck taken out. I got a bunch of stuff, my stuff taken out. They took my gun. So like I was detained. I don't know if you want to say arrested, but I was definitely told, like, if you don't solve this, this is going to be like a federal problem. So I had till the next day, like I didn't have that many hundreds of dollars in my pocket. So I had to go to a bank, an ATM. The next day, I mean, at this point in time, I'm getting some calls and things like that. And people are like, don't even, just get out of there. Don't even pay the fines. I'm like, no, I want my gun. I want stuff. I don't want my guide who lives in the town nearby to like always be looking over his back, because now they're going to be like, well, you owe us these fines. And he's like, well, it was the other guy. So I know I have this obligation to make it right with the tribe and with him. So I go to collect my gun and my ammo and stuff. And basically I give them all the cash. They just write on a thing the amount of money and hand me this thing. I'm like, this is not legitimate at all. Just a cash payment. I don't know where it goes to. And they don't give me all my stuff back. So at this point, I'm like, do I make a fit about it? I got my gun. That was the most important thing. But like my ammo, and so I'm just like, do I make a scene of this or do I get the heck out of here? And I chose to get the heck out of there because of some of the stories I was hearing. Because I had made these YouTube videos there, they were watching all that, and then people were commenting on them. And then people were like, hey, what's your email so I can get a hold of you? So at this time, I'm emailing like 3 or 4 different people, 2 of which claim to be part of the tribe, 1 of which claims to be just a tribe member. A council member with the tribe, or a former council member. And I won't say anybody's names because I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. And both of them told me they knew about what had happened with me because of how small the community is. They're like, get out of Dodge, leave here as fast as you can. They're like, the one even told me, he's like, you don't understand how this works. This is not how your government works, your system works. If you can just physically get out of there and hope for the best, then do it. So at this point, I'm really nervous. I'm thinking, geez, what are they gonna do, arrest me again and blah, blah, blah. When I was there to get my stuff, give them the money, I was told like, hey, these YouTube videos, probably not a good idea. Okay, so he says, make a video. When you make your next video, he's like, talk about how you shouldn't be in there and stuff. I said, okay, I'll do that. At this point, I just want to. So I do this video where I'm like outside the reservation and I'm, making sure this is still on. I'm outside the reservation and I'm making sure that I'm saying like, hey, I shouldn't have been here. These guys were nice to me and blah, blah, blah. And they were for the most part. It was still a shakedown, but they were for the most part. And it didn't stop there. So number one, I never found the plane. I started getting conspiracy theories from all over the place. I mean, people were messaging me, commenting on my YouTube videos. The guy who owns the plane lied. The airplane is actually in this hangar. One of the tribe members was telling me, hey, they already found that plane. They already put it in a building. And I'm thinking, how could you put it in a building? It'd probably be in a ton of pieces. I am getting stories from everywhere. And when it comes down to it, I obviously believe Ron because the guy jumped out of he has footage of like hanging from a tree. So at this point, I'm like really conflicted. And I'm like, gosh, I don't think they're ever gonna find this plane. And as you can imagine, I went down the rabbit hole. I started like going on satellite maps, GPS maps, and I would spend days and days and days just looking for this airplane, any little shred. And then I was gonna pin them and then fly over them. But finally, about a week after I got home, I got a letter from them And basically it was a cease and desist, like these videos, you being here. And I knew at that moment, I was like, I've got to erase it all right now, or like make it private instead of public. Because by this time I had figured out how that all works. So I made it private. So that's why you're going to see some of the clips in here, and you might have already seen some. And I'll probably never make them public again. Number one, I was really, really fat. I was almost 300 pounds when I did this, so it was very difficult being up there at 10,000 feet. Matter of fact, I was hitting a can of oxygen every so often just to be able to stay up there. And the elk and all that stuff, it was really crazy up there. One of the things they were threatening to charge me with at the beginning was, and I'm not going to say this country music star's name, but they were saying that a country music star had bought a permit or a tag for elk, and I was in that area, so I was impeding his or hers tag in their hunt that they pay lots of money for. And I was told at one point in time that I was within a football field or so of these people, which, is that true? I have no idea. I'm sure, you know, these rich people pay for these tags and stuff. It's very possible. So that was what the threat was. I think they had to find something to charge me with if they were going to charge me. But instead, I just took everything down. And I kind of just let it go into the wind. Like, hey, this happened, but it's moving on. And recently, I will tell you, last year, they found the airplane. So here's the image of the airplane. I can't tell you exactly where they found it. I have done the research and found out where they found it, but there is litigation involved. So, but the one thing I will say to you guys was the next day after the ridge was done, I was going to do something specifically in my search where I would have found this airplane. It might have been 1 or 2 days deep, but based off of where it was found, it was on my my like go-to areas. I'm going to show you guys here. Get back here. Every day I'm pinning the places I'm at, and the next place I was going to go was that star, and that's not where they found it. But if I would have done the path I wanted to do, I definitely would have found it, and I'd have been 30 grand richer. And all I had to do is get pictures, some video, the GPS coordinates, and get the heck out of there. I would have drove straight to where this gentleman lives in a different state to collect my loot or my money. And life would have been great and all happy, but instead I had to pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And it was a pretty horrible experience. One of the reasons I'm making this video, well, two of the reasons. Number one, people said I lied about it, so I'm making videos showing you the evidence with the news clips and stuff. Number two, there's a gentleman in Utah who flew his airplane down into the Wallapai tribe, which this is like near Kingman, Arizona, in the Grand Canyon. So the Wallapai tribe has the Grand Canyon there. I grew up in that area. I have many Wallapai friends. I have stayed the night on the reservation with friends. I got my truck hit by somebody on the reservation, by somebody who lived on the reservation. I worked for the sheriff's department in the jail, so I dealt with people who got transferred in and out. I've dealt with it all over there. And so when I saw this guy's video talking about how the Wallapai tribe was kind of shaking him down, that's my words, not his. I felt inspired to make this video because if you gather anything from this video, it would be have respect for the Native American land and just know that their rules are not our rules and you're subject to whatever they say you're subject to. So if you're going out there, you're really, really, really taking a chance that, like, I probably should have gone to jail. I think, not should have, like, morally. I think they wanted to take me to jail. I do believe my prior job and the fact that I had a CCW and stuff made it, and no prior convictions, not even any speeding tickets or anything. I've been a little angel and the world's okayest pilot. So I really do think that had something to do with it. I'm not saying, oh, law enforcement should be able to be exempt and blah, blah, blah. No. If they wanted to take me to jail, they were going to, I'm pretty sure, because he said, hey, you're going to be going and blah, blah, blah. So I was really, at that point in time, I was pretty content with going. But so the moral of the story is respect it, use caution. If something's missing out there, don't go look for it. I found out during my paying my fines, he said, people are allowed to look for it, but you have to be a reservation person. And then it turns out if a reservation person went and looked for it, this is what I was told by the email person. If somebody on the reservation found it, they would only get a percentage of that because the reservation pays them. And since they pay them, it would basically be their income. So nobody on the reservation was looking for this airplane. If they were, they would have found it probably. So I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions about it, I've been pretty transparent about it in the video. I can't think of much else I could really tell you guys about it. The one gentleman, I'll link his video down in here. I can't think of what it's called right now. I'll put a picture of it, but he had his airplane deal over there. I believe his deal is over with, and I believe my deal is over with. It's been exactly 5 years to this month. So I would hope that they just leave me alone. I haven't done anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong then. I'm not doing anything wrong now. And I have nothing but respect for them. But yeah, so moral of the story is stay out of the area unless you're going there just to enjoy it, to go hunting, fishing, camping, and you just stay to your own. Just use caution, use your brain, stay out of there. Pilots, maybe do a flight plan around it. There's a missing Bonanza that went down, I believe in, I don't even remember what year, with the people in it. It's in that woods. It's near, it's just south of Mount Baldy somewhere. And so was this airplane. So I had my antennas up while I was out there. I'm like, hey, there's a Bonanza out here too that went off radar right where we were standing. So they are out there. And if you're a pilot, maybe just make a beeline. Just do your flight plan around it, grab some fuel somewhere else. There's a lot of trees, nowhere to land. And if you do, you're gonna have a problem getting your airplane back. So if you haven't yet, please like, share, subscribe. Stick around. This is probably one of the only videos I'm going to do just talking like this. So normally it's going to be flying this airplane and with the boys, hopefully going camping soon and things like that. So also down in the link, I have my Amazon wish list. If anybody wants to support the channel, I get paid pennies to do this. It's like almost nothing. So I am monetized, but it's so minute, it's ridiculous. And also there's a link in there for the giant loop bags. And I'm going to be doing this is a fuel reservoir, but it's advertised as a liquid reservoir. Down in the description, I have the links to my affiliate link to where you can get those. They are a little more expensive, but they're definitely worth it. I throw mine in the back seat of the plane and I extend my range. We're gonna be doing a video on this channel right here, dropping that out of the airplane to see how well the quality is on it. If you're interested in that, so go ahead and subscribe, like, share, comment. And I appreciate you guys. And until the next one, we'll see you then.